like to hold the pillow. Oh, that's me.
So what time is it? All right, people. Hopefully people will join. In the meantime, we hope everybody's day has been going great.
Hi, everybody.
So for those of you who don't know who we are, I'm Julian.
I'm Nydia.
And we are all in the family. We are teen parents who have been together for basically 30 years now. And we have the All in the Family page to bring to you our story. Hopefully some people will get inspired. If they need mentoring, they can reach out to us. If they need coaching, they can reach out to us, and all of that good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to tell you guys how our baecation was in Costa Rica and all the stuff that happened behind the scenes. So, do you want to start?
No, you can start.
All right, so we'll take it from the beginning. So we got dropped off at the airport, Southwest, and we ended up going through international, of course. The flight to Southwest was pretty empty. So if you guys see the pictures of the flight, you can see that, you know, I'm pretty laid out, chilling. So for the most part, that was pretty cool. The flight attendants on the way down were kind of mediocre for Southwest. would you say?
Yeah, I think they were ready. I guess when they fly to Costa Rica, they don't come back the same day. They stay for 24 hours. So they were kind of looking forward to their vacation, I think. They were winding down on the airplane.
Yeah. And well, there's only one flight per day, right?
He said there was a flight going back, but it leaves within like an hour or two. So they don't make them, when it's over 4 hours, they don't make them fly back the same day.
Right. And then I guess for security purposes as well, they don't have them come back the same day or something like that, right?
Maybe, yeah.
So
it was 58 people.
58 people.
On the plane.
Most people took their own row, but there were some people, I guess families or whatever, that kind of stood together in the same row. We had no babies on the flight. We had some, you think they were teenagers?
Yeah.
Excuse me. So we had a couple teenagers on the flight. So the flight was peaceful on the way down. It was 4.5 hours. On the way down, we saw Cuba, Nicaragua. We saw some volcanoes that were still active. We saw some craters and just parts of the earth that we didn't think that we would ever get to see. So when we arrived in Costa Rica, we did all inclusive. And this was the first time. Yeah, this was the first time we did all inclusive, and she's been asking about doing all inclusive. So somebody at my job, they kind of recommended that we don't do all inclusive for Costa Rica because I guess most of when you do all inclusive, that's in a place where it's not safe. Costa Rica is normally deemed to be safe. So when we did the all inclusive, and then we got there, and I'm glad that we did all inclusive. And the reason why I'm glad we did all inclusive because it's a place that we never been before and was totally foreign to us. Okay, so you have anything you want to add on that? Your thoughts, feelings?
No, I just think that you don't have to think about anything either because it's all inclusive. So that's where you're gonna eat for the most part.
For the most part, it has the drinks and all of that stuff is there. The poolside is there.
Right.
Right.
And we were on the beach.
And we were on the beach, our favorite place. So we got there, and the first thing we did, we checked into the all-inclusive, got our room, changed clothes because we were in our hoodies and our winter clothes, and of course down there it's 87 degrees every day, and
we went to eat. Remember, we had like 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, so we had 10 minutes to grab lunch. So first of all, Costa Rica is an hour behind us. So we got there, and I'm kind of glad it was, because when we got there, their eating schedule is different from ours because of that hour. So what I didn't know is that like in Costa Rica, they'll start serving dinner from 7 o'clock in the evening to 10 o'clock in the evening, and based on our schedule from being on the East Coast, that's 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock, which is very, very late for us, especially considering that we do intermittent fasting. But, you know, it's a vacation that we chose to take, so we had to suck that up. So we got there, we had lunch. We've noticed that every meal, there's rice with every meal. There's rice with breakfast, there's rice with lunch, there's rice with dinner, and there's always beans or something like that. There was a lot of fish, right? There was a lot of fish dishes.
Yeah, a lot of chicken, beef.
For that all-inclusive, I read somewhere that they said that they cater to the locals with their meals, and come to find out, I thought that it was just as American or semi-Spanish as you get here in the United States. So I didn't think it was too much different. So, what did you think?
I thought they cooked a little bland, but that could just be me. Because when we ate out, it had more flavor to me.
And one thing they didn't have on the table is they didn't have salt on the table. They have pepper on the table, but there's no salt on the table. And I think we came to the conclusion that it was the humidity that causes the salt to...
Yeah, they put salt out at dinner sometimes, but breakfast and lunch, salt wasn't out. So I don't know. Maybe we had to ask for it.
Yeah. So on the way to the all-inclusive, let's circle back real quick. So on the way to the all-inclusive, it took an hour and a half from the airport. And one thing we noticed is that they don't have highways, at least in the area where we were, they don't have highways like we have in the United States. So nobody's doing 80, 90 miles per hour. I think probably the highest speed we were going was like maybe 55.
50.
You think 50?
Because it was like 40 was posted.
And they do everything in kilometers, so we have to try to translate that to miles per hour. So it seemed like everything was taking forever, because it's almost like you're going to drive 50 miles on a regular side street, so their highways are not like developed like our highways. But the good thing is they have it set up so you can just zoom around the other cars, and so eventually it took a while for us to make it to the resort, but we made it, and it seemed like it was taking forever. But we did stop at a place to try some, how do you call it, a panaderia?
A panaderia.
Okay, so we stopped there, and when we stopped there, we got some bread, some
chicken
empanadas,
beef empanada.
Yes, and that stuff was great. That was awesome. So what's the name of the place? Do you remember the name of the place?
Something with an M. So if you're ever there, that's the main bakery that they said they have.
Yeah, and it was a franchise, did they say?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's like a franchise. So you see this thing with an M, that's the place you want to stop at. It's pretty reliable, pretty consistent. You go, you take your pastries out, and you can eat there, or you can take it to go. So that place was pretty good. The guy that picked us up was pretty good. He was awesome. So anyway, we got to the resort. We got our food. When we got to the resort, we had something to eat, and then we went to the beach. Okay, what happened on the beach?
we went to the beach, and as soon as we got there, hey Rob, this guy comes up to us to try to sell us, right? To try to sell us the excursions. And his name was Leo. He was nice. He was persistent. And he was asking about all these excursions that we wanted to do. So, what were you going to say?
Well, the original plan was for us to go and just chill out for 5 days and do absolutely nothing. Just pretty much go and veg out on the beach and do nothing. That was the original plan. But when we met Leo, and they also called him Leo, so in Spanish, I guess they pronounce it Leo. So he was pretty persistent, but we were kind of hesitant to do any excursions. So the more hesitant we acted, the price continued to drop down on his excursions, right? So we kind of, so as I noticed the price was dropping down, the more hesitant I got. So as his price was dropping down, eventually he got to a price point that we all agreed to, and you know, I had asked her, I said, well, what all do you want to do while we're here? And she says, well, she wanted to do the falls and the volcano. And I said, well, you know, he mentioned something about turtle watching. So he says, basically, he's giving us the turtle watching for free. And I said, well, as long as she's happy, I'm happy. You know, happy wife, happy life. So we ended up cutting a deal with him. And then what? We chilled out.
Yeah. We went to look at the beach. We couldn't really get in yet. I guess we didn't really know how the water was going to be, but it was pretty
comfortable.
The water was
but it was rough.
It was rough. So we went. Did you have your water shoes on, I think? I don't think I had my water shoes on, so I didn't want to get in because whenever the water's rough like that, it has a lot of rocks on the bottom.
Usually.
And it can hurt your feet. So it wasn't too bad, but I think we went back to the room after we did the thing with Leo. We had to he filled out a little paper or whatever, gave us a receipt, and it had started to get dark already by that time. It gets dark early there.
Yeah, and we had to give him a deposit. So we gave him the deposit in American dollars, and then we promised to follow up with the true payment, which was going to be like the credit card, because even though we exchanged money, the way that their system is set up, I mean, for us to try to figure out like what the money is in our minds, translate into American dollars, is just too much work. So it's just easier for us to put it on the credit card. And Leo, he was very cool about that, but he had a money back guarantee on his excursions. I never heard of a money back guarantee on an excursion. So what he said was, especially with the turtles, he said if we went out there, he's telling me, you know, they had like 500-pound to 2,000-pound turtles. He said if we don't find any turtles, we get our money back. I'm like, okay, cool. And so, but what I didn't know is that we was going to go see the turtles in the dark. Okay, so I'm expecting to go see the turtles in the daylight. Then he says, well, you guys got to come back here tomorrow at 5:50. And I'm thinking, I said, well, how dark is it going to be at 5:50? Because how do you see turtles in the dark? So I said, okay, well, whatever. We paid for it. We'll be back here at 5:50. So
it was pretty dark. I mean, not when we left the hotel, I think, but by the time we got to the beach, it was dark.
So you want to tell them about the ride to the beach?
The ride to the beach was bumpy and lumpy and up and down the whole time. I don't know how they were driving those cars and how the brakes don't get messed up.
Well, the brakes did get messed up on at least in the one we had, right? But just so you guys know that we were in like this Scooby-Doo van. Okay, so down there it's just like how you see on TV, like when you see like a bunch of like Scooby-Doo vans, that's what they have. So you have like 10 people in a Scooby-Doo van, all going off-road. Because so when she says they're bumpy and lumpy, it's not like a regular street. You're literally going off-road. So they're taking everybody through these bumpy streets off-road, down streets that don't even have names.
It's not even a street. It's like through the...
It's like through farmland.
Through the trees. And you're like, how do they know where they're going? There's no There's no signs. There's no lights. It was just crazy.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Hey, Tanika. Hey, cousin Na. So we went to one beach first. So we got to the first beach, and we got out the car. We were chit-chatting with some of the other people that were there. We found a couple that was from America that I was chit-chatting with, and I was asking them and come to find out, they moved to Costa Rica from America. They were Black American, and they had 3 kids with them, and I was, chopping it up, asking them, what is it like to be a minority in Costa Rica? And come to find out, there's kind of no such thing as that, because in America, that's kind of where we're considered minorities, but over there, everybody just does everybody. They don't look at it, people as like minorities, they just look at everybody as Costa Ricans, which was a little bit different for me, especially me being a minority. And then we asked, and then they went on to proceed that they said on the east side of Costa Rica was a place called Limon. And that place is majority Black, Afro-Rican,
Afro-Caribbean,
Afro-Costa Ricans, which means there's majority Black Costa Ricans over there. And they said that the lighter Costa Ricans complained about being discriminated against by the police over there, which is the total opposite of what we get over here in the States. So that was pretty interesting.
We didn't make it to that side.
We didn't make it to that side, but we're going to go back to check it out. We got to go back to check it out, because that's something I got to see with my own eyes. So we're waiting for the turtles. I'm chopping it up with them. The guy comes back, and for some reason he made it seem like there was no turtles at that beach. So they said, well, we got to go to another beach. So we're just like, cool. So everybody jumps back in the Scooby-Doo van. We're back off-roading again. And then she asked me, did we come this way? Do you remember coming this way? And you got to keep in mind, it's pitch dark. I'm not from Costa Rica. Never been to Costa Rica before. And then the streets, there's no street signs because it's all off-road.
But we did go that way, I remember.
How do you know?
Because I know.
So she's asking me, did we go this way? And I'm sitting there like, I don't know. It's pitch dark out here. I can't identify the trees. I can't identify the bumps. I don't know. But either way, we finally got to the other beach. They found some turtles, and we were fortunate enough to be patient enough and to see some turtles actually lay eggs, like National Geographic.
Yep.
We watched the whole process take place, and I'm going to tell you guys, Mother Nature is something else. Mother Nature is truly amazing, and I mean, especially compared to the city like that we have here in Baltimore, to be able to go out on the beach and see a turtle do its thing, create the nest,
dig the hole,
do the temperature. So the mother turtle has this little scope thing in the middle, and it goes down and it kind of senses the sand to see if the temperature is right to drop the eggs in. Okay. And if it's not right, she won't drop the eggs. So we saw that. She didn't drop the eggs. She moved further in, and she started digging again.
And this was after like an hour and a half.
After an hour and a half. But it was still cool to watch, though.
It was.
But you have to be very patient. So she went.
Considering we had to use the bathroom in the woods, and not knowing if something was out there waiting to bite you.
Yeah.
I was like, she need to hurry up.
Yeah, so it was pitch dark.
Yes.
It was pitch dark.
And you couldn't use your flashlight.
You couldn't use the flashlight.
Because I guess that scares them off or something. So they could only use their red flashlights or something.
Yeah. So when she started dropping those eggs, she started dropping them one by one. And because they're known to drop almost like a minimum of 120 eggs, we could not stay for the whole process. So we ended up watching maybe about 3 dozen drop, and then we took some pictures. He dug a hole so we can see the eggs drop, flash the light on there. It was pretty neat. I mean, like I said, Mother Nature is something else. At the same time, me being somewhat of a science head, because I'm also into computer science, I was looking up at the sky to see what type of constellations they had out there, and being on the other side of the planet looking at stars is like looking at a totally different map.
It seemed like the stars were so close to you.
Right.
Like you could reach out and grab them almost.
Yeah, especially on the beach. It was pitch dark, so it was perfect. I mean, if we weren't scared that something was going to come out of the woods, I think, you know, it probably would have been more romantic. But but on this,
Well,
you know,
there was like 40 people there.
yeah, there were 40 people, but it would have been more romantic. And you know, you can also look across the sea at night, and you can see lights shining from ships and all that stuff, which was pretty cool. So we saw the turtles give birth. We ended up leaving. Had to go through the bumpy roads all over again. And then what happened on the way?
I don't remember.
We got stopped by the police.
Ow! I forgot that.
So our van got stopped by the police. So apparently in Costa Rica, first of all, you need a license to bring people around.
You need a tourism paper. So you have to pay for the tourism paper, kind of like a taxi, I guess, here. I don't know. And then the reason they stopped us, I guess, is because the car wasn't up to par. So the registration on the car, the cop could see that it wasn't up to par. So first of all, the guy was kind of flying, and then the cop blew the whistle to tell him to stop, but he kept going. So I was like, wait, you gotta stop. So he stopped, and I was like, oh no, we about to be stranded here on this corner. So you could tell him. The guy got out the car, right? He was asking him for his paper. He said he didn't have it. He was telling him that, you know, he was helping out a friend, that, you know, they know that the car, I guess, wasn't up to par. He didn't have the tourism paper that he needed to drive people around, but he was just helping out a friend. And then the police officer asked him to get out the car, which was even kind of like, oh no, we're actually going to be in trouble here.
Yeah, because in the United States, we all know what it means when the police tell you to get out the car. It's never good news when the police tell you to get out the car, but apparently in Costa Rica it's slightly different. You get out the car and, to talk to the police in Costa Rica, it's like a conversation that they're having that they don't want everybody else in the car to hear. So, but we, you know, being from the United States, we thought it was definitely the end of the world, and we were going to be stranded in the middle of somewhere we didn't know where the hell we were.
So the guy got out the car. He was taking all these papers out of the glove box, and then finally, after about 10 minutes, he comes back in the car. I think he was a little upset, but we were on our way like nothing.
And then we finally made it back to the hotel.
I think it was at almost like 12 o'clock.
I think it was, it was like 11. It was like 10.
It was like 11:30. This on vacation, you get back at 11:30, and then the next day we had to get up
early. So we got back to the resort, and being from America in a different country, and one thing that I do right away is when it comes to tipping, especially when it's like a tour bus, I look to see what other people are doing for tips. So if other people are shelling out tips, then I'll shell out a tip. If other people are not tipping, then chances are I'm not going to tip. Okay, and I know it sounds a little raunchy, but that's just how it is, especially, when everybody is kind of like looking in your pocket. But I think from people being from different countries, they have a different mentality when it comes to tipping, and most of these guys, that's kind of their livelihood is they survive off of tips. But we ended up having the same guy. Hey, Thelma.
So
we ended up having
we didn't tip because nobody else tipped. So we kind of weren't sure. Now, before we went to Costa Rica, I was reading an article, and basically they said that in Costa Rica, they don't look for a tip. It's not expected like here. So if you don't leave a tip, they still treat you beautifully. It's not like they get mad or anything like some vacations we've been on. If you don't give a tip, they're looking at you like, where's my tip?
Yeah. Hey, cousin Patricia.
We got Annie. Hi, Annie. And your mom. Hey, Mom.
So nobody gave a tip the first night. And I felt bad because one thing, if you know about us, if you go out with us, you know that we tip. Okay, we're not cheapskates, but you know, when in Rome, you do what the Romans do. So I'm trying to check out what the Romans are doing. They're not tipping. I'm like, okay, then I'm not tipping. But the next day we had the excursion where we went to the jungle.
Yes.
Okay, and you can tell them about.
So we had the same driver, thank goodness. But we had the same driver. We had to leave by 9 o'clock, or was it? I don't know. It was early, in any case. And that was another long drive. It was like an hour and a half.
And keep in mind the reason why the drives are long is because there's no highway. You have to go everything around. Is just regular streets. There's no highway.
And on that trip, we saw a lot of stuff, didn't we? First we stopped at the place he let us use the bathroom, which was like a ranch. So I guess in Costa Rica, like the way they do excursions is each person has like their own tourism thing.
Well, hold on.
Stop.
Just again, on the way there, we stopped again at that same panaderia to get some.
Oh, did he stop there?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We stopped and we got some
bread pudding.
Bread pudding, yeah. That bread
and
pudding
coffee.
was awesome. And coffee.
Because I think we left so early, we didn't stop for breakfast. So
yes.
We asked him to stop. He stopped. We got coffee. We got bread pudding. We went on our way.
And then we had to stop again.
We stopped to pay, right?
Bananas.
Oh, my memory getting old. So yeah, then the guy was like, "Oh, did you bring bananas?" And we're like, "What?" He was like, "They didn't tell you to bring bananas?" I said, "No, but if he would have told me, I would have took some from the buffet because there was enough bananas there. I would have took them." So he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna stop and get you guys some bananas." And we were like, "Okay." We didn't kind of know why, right? We were like, "All right, well, he says we need bananas," so he stopped and bought us. But this is the driver. He stopped and bought us bananas to take on this excursion.
Okay, so
right, and then I was gonna say, driving to the place though, we were able to see Del Monte, which was pretty neat, and it was like rows upon rows upon rows of melons. He said they grow there, and sugarcane.
Sugarcane is big business. Down there.
Yes.
Just like the Dominican Republic, sugarcane is big business. But to see the Del Monte factory and all the place where you see your canned goods and stuff come from, that was kind of exciting to us. They're used to that, but they don't know. Like it's like for a while, like Pepperidge Farm came to Bloomfield, and that was like now they're
But it was like never ending. It was going and going, and I'm like, "This is all Del Monte," and he was like, "Yep." Yeah, this is all theirs.
They have more than acres and acres of land out there. So you guys who eat Del Monte stuff, Del Monte they're doing very well. They're doing very well. So
the road wasn't as bumpy. As the day before, but we made it.
All right, and on the way up there, we stopped, used the bathroom.
We used the bathroom at this little ranch place. It looks like I guess when you go camping, right? And it has tables, benches, and they have you can see where they cook or have drinks and stuff. And we used the bathroom there. And next to the bathroom, there was a little cage, and there was this little pig in it.
Little pig, yeah. probably slightly bigger than a cat.
And there was something else there.
A goat.
Okay.
And there was a horse up in the corner.
Yes. So, and it was their house too, because to the right, it was like two houses. So what I was going to say is the guy was explaining to me that when you do these excursions, depending who you go with, each of the people that do the excursions, they include lunch for you. So depending on which excursion you pick, you go to one of these ranch type places, and the women, they cooked like a true meal for you. And then after your excursion, you come back and you have lunch.
Yes.
And they were cooking old school.
Homemade.
Like in the back, in a shed, I don't know what you call it, but on fire. Because that's what it smelled like to me. And I even said that to them. And he was like, yes, they're cooking.
They smoke it.
In the fire.
Some of the stuff they were smoking off the wood. So they do it off the wood, which was different for us. So.
Well, it smelled good.
Yeah, it smelled. Yeah.
Before we even.
It sure did.
Before we left.
So
the guy gets us. So it's pretty close. It's like 10 minutes from
that excursion.
That excursion. I call it the swamp, but that's not.
It's a river.
The real name for it. It's a river. So we get there, and the guy that's driving tells us, "Oh, can you put the bananas in your bag?" He's like, because they don't like to see you taking food on the boat. He's like, everybody does it, he tells me, but can you just hide it and put it in your bag? And I'm like, okay, Julian, he says to put the bananas in the bag.
Yeah, so when we go on vacation, we normally carry like a book bag along with us to put stuff in it just in case we need like a change of clothes or something like that in case, we get wet or something happens. Because when we went to Hawaii and you go through the rainforest and all of a sudden it rains and you might need a change of clothes or something. So we have like a book bag with some stuff we keep. And so we had the book bag and he asked us to put the bananas in the book bag before we got out the van and got on the boat.
Yep.
And then we got on the boat.
We got on the boat. Well, mind you, because we were kind of talking about this today, I'm thinking we're just going to see monkeys. Like, okay, we're going to see monkeys and some birds because the guy explained it, right? Oh, this is like a natural park or something that they have. No one can build there, right? No one can do anything. But you're going to take the boat. You're going to see the birds and the monkeys, he says. And I'm like, oh, okay. You get on the boat. The water's all murky. They're like, put the life vest on, right? We put the life vest on. And then the guy starts going.
Yeah. So as he starts going, he uses this mirror to have the sun bounce off and reflect off the mirror, so he can use it almost like a flashlight, almost like using Mother Nature as a flashlight, so he can like flash up into the trees so you can see all these exotic wildlife things going on, right? So the first thing we saw was things they called long-nosed bats, and they were sticking to a tree, and they kind of like go in a row, and he says the reason why that they line themselves up like that is because they're predators. They want to seem like they're bigger, so they want to scare off their predators. We saw blue herons, a bunch of blue herons left and right.
We saw a bunch of birds.
We saw a bunch of birds, but what we didn't know is that there was going to be crocodiles in this river.
Lots of
a lot of them. There were a lot of them. So after we saw the first one, I was just like, okay, cool. A crocodile.
Remember the first one was so little. It was a little one.
Yeah, it was little.
I was like, all right, I could do this. It's little crocodiles.
No big deal. It was no big deal. So then we go further down the river, and then he pulls up to the bank. And as we pull up to the bank, he's trying to show us another blue heron up close, and the blue heron hauls ass and takes off. So he says, you know what that means? And we're just like, well, no, we don't know what that means because we don't know anything about blue herons. He's like, well, you know what that means? He's like, that means that the white-faced monkeys are coming for the blue heron. And after the blue heron hauls ass, all of a sudden you see these monkeys just come out of the trees, out of the woodwork. So that's when we pulled the bananas out.
So at first he pulled up, right? And we could see the monkeys, but they weren't coming towards us. But as soon as the guy pulled the plastic bag that was crinkling out of the book bag, that one monkey jumped on top of the boat, He jumped on the top of the boat, came down in front of the boat, hung like this, and looked at us like, what y'all got for me? And I swear on my daughter's life, we have to be related to the monkey. And I'm not saying, I'm saying humans have to be related to the monkeys. They mingle incredibly well with us naturally because these were wild monkeys. And there wasn't a time, I was skeptical, but there wasn't a time that I didn't feel safe. You know what I'm saying? It's like you want to touch them, but then again, you have to remember that they're wild. Right. But then again, you see how they're coming, they're interacting, and they're looking at you just like a human being would look at you and say, what do you got for me?
Okay, and so she's crinkling. So she's taking the bananas out the bag. He knows to go from the front of the boat, jumps back on the roof, and comes to the side of the boat where the bag is being crinkled, and then he hangs on the side from there like, what's going on, y'all?
And he kind of stepped on the guy that was there. He kept one hand on the thing, but his feet, he put them on the guy's back.
That was sitting on that side of the boat.
Yeah, and then he reached, it was actually our driver in the back who opened the bananas, and he took it from him. And then he gives it to me, and he was like, here, you can feed him, you can give it to him. So I give him, so he kind of snatches it from me. It was still in the peel. So he kind of snatched it from me, and then he finished taking it out of the peel and threw the peel back at me.
So that's how incredibly smart they are. Okay, they know the peel is no good. Apparently they know not to litter, right? Because he threw the peel back on the boat. He took what he needed out of the banana and threw the peel back on the boat. And then you can see his homeboys in the background starting to come out of the woodwork. But they went back in, and they never fully came out to join the party. So I thought it would have been cool if they all would have came out to join the party. So they ended up letting that monkey go back into the wild, and then we proceeded down the river. When we proceeded down the river, we ended up finding them on the other side of the river. There was some more white-faced monkeys. So the other monkey jumps on, does something similar, and then he gets his food, and then the captain of the ship starts backing the ship away from the shore, and the monkey's on the roof of the boat, and he's jumping like, yo, y'all forgot about me. I'm not going with y'all. And he's jumping like, and he's like throwing a hint. So the captain has to pull the ship back into the shore. As soon as he pulls the ship back into the shore, the monkey jumps off the top of the roof, lands in a tree, looks at us. He has in one hand a banana out of the peel, and in the other hand, the banana in the peel, and somehow he lands in a tree without falling. I don't know how the hell he did it, but I guess it's like a drunk person with two bears jumping off into a tree and just being able to land safely. I mean, that was just amazing. But the monkey knew enough to give us information that he's on the top of the roof and we're forgetting about him, so he can go back to his house. I said that's it. They're incredibly naturally intelligent. They know how to communicate, and they do a very good job at it. So and I was looking at some of these animals, and I said to myself, now I understand why some people want to take these animals home. So
the monkeys were incredibly clean.
They were clean. And
their coat was so shiny. I was telling Julian, I wanted to reach out and touch it, but then I was like, I don't know if he would have bit me or lashed out at me, so I pulled my hand back.
Yeah, but they were gentle. I mean, because like when that guy that was sitting on the end, the monkey he just gently put his hand on that guy's back and to balance himself, and his foot on the other hand, and he reached in, grabbed what he had to grab. Like I said, I mean, I was skeptical, but I didn't feel unsafe. It was just like, well, can I touch them? And it's almost like you want to touch them and kind of see what they're about. But, because they're wildlife, you have to respect, you have to keep that aspect in mind that they are wildlife.
So then, I don't know, we saw a bunch of crocodiles, and they were taking the boat all the way downstream, and they went down a little side, then they came back, and then they stopped the boat. And I'm like,
they stopped the boat.
Why are we stopping the boat?
He pulled up to the shore, and he wraps the boat like there's
he
like
ties the boat somehow
to a limb, a branch.
And I'm like, why are we stopping the boat? What are we doing? Then the driver of the boat comes to the back, and he opens up a bag, and at first, I didn't know what it was. Did you know what it was?
I didn't
know what they were doing. So there was the driver of the boat didn't speak English, but there was another guy on the boat who spoke English who was translating and talking to us. So the translator was hitting the water with a towel, and I'm like, what is he doing? Like, why is he hitting the water with the towel? While the driver went to the back of the boat, pulled out a bag, and he pulled something out, and we kind of didn't know what it was. Well, come to find out, it was a big slab of bacon fat. So then he starts putting his hand and dunking it in the water to get the crocodile's attention. And I'm like, they're crazy. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, and at that time, there were 2 crocodiles. There was one on both sides of the boat.
And they didn't know which one was going to come.
They didn't know which one was going to come. And I didn't know which one was going to come. And so he's slinging around this bacon fat, which, you know, I'm like, well, most people like bacon. So I'm assuming the crocs like bacon just as much as most people. And I'm like, I noticed this salt that he's dunking in the water is definitely getting all their attention because they start tasting the salt. And so on the side of the boat, so if you guys saw the video, you could see on the side of the boat where the crocodile actually comes next to the boat, and the other one stays like off in the distance. So I'm kind of like watching to see how this thing is going to play out. So one actually comes up to the boat, and she was right next to.
I was right in front of the guy with the bacon.
With the bacon.
And I'm like, why is he coming so close? He's lifting up the thing. So it wasn't Julian feeding the crocodile.
Yeah, just for the record, a lot of people saw a bald head and a dark hand, and they thought it was me, and no, that's not me.
So I don't know. He can't. I mean, I still kind of didn't know what they were doing. I'm like, all right, he's trying to feed the crocodile, you know, whatever. So the crocodile finally comes close, and then he's lifting the thing.
The bacon.
Yeah, and he jumps all the way up to get it.
To get it, and you can see the crocodile opens his mouth. All you see is teeth. And then it just closes.
And then he did it again. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, this guy, he's crazy.
Yeah, he's crazy. But what we also learned is that a crocodile does not have a tongue.
A crocodile doesn't have a tongue, and when they're in the water, they have something that stops like closes off their esophagus or whatever you want to call it. So the water doesn't get in. So basically, they eat when they're getting their prey or whatever, water doesn't go down like their throat. It closes it off, which I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. So, I mean, so it was educational. And again, if you guys see the video, he fed the croc twice.
Yes.
And the thing came up, the second time it came up even higher.
Right.
And I don't know how deep the water is, and I don't know how they maneuver their bodies. I don't know if they use their tail. I don't know if they use their fins on their feet. But they can get up almost like little dolphins and get the food if they want that food.
And they were pretty hesitant, I would say, to come up to the boat.
Yeah.
Kind of like they sensed danger, maybe, because even when they smelled the food, they weren't coming quick. Like I thought they would come really quick. They were pretty slow. But I guess once he knew, you know, no one tried to do anything or whatever, he came up to get the bacon. And then the second time was fast.
Yeah,
because he
knew. Already there. Yeah, he's already there. So that was, and then we ended up seeing more blue herons and some other birds that we didn't know existed. And we went back and saw more bats. And then we ended up going back, and we ended that excursion. Came back, had lunch.
Went back to the ranch.
Went back to
Everything
the ranch,
was laid out.
Laid out.
For 3 people. It was only 3 of us.
It was 3 of us.
So we had the driver all to ourselves.
Yep. So we had but everything was laid out for us perfect. And then they dropped the food, homemade, from scratch.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It was excellent.
It was good.
It was excellent.
Yeah.
So and we had them bring seconds on the rice.
You did.
So we had them bring seconds on the rice, and so that I mean it was good. The chicken that they had, I don't know what they marinated in and soaked it in, and the gravy
so they had chicken, stewed chicken. They called it chicken and salsa, but it was like a stewed chicken. They had beef and potatoes. They had white rice. They had everywhere you go, they eat black beans. That's just their staple. Frijoles, I think they call it. And she has salad. They do like a salad with cabbage, tomatoes, cucumbers. So I don't know if you guys saw the picture on our not rice meeting. Hi Gilda and Lizbeth is on. So they call that a casada. That's like their meal. It's rice, beans, meat, salad is what they usually serve.
They had some stew beef and potatoes and carrots.
Yeah, so that could be the meat, but they made 2 types of meat. And I was kind of like, wow, they made all this food for...
Yeah, and I mean, they definitely laid that one out. And the bathroom. I have a video that how you flush the urinal. So usually, we're at the point in America that we're used to just walking away from the urinal, and I know ladies don't use the urinal, so we it's like everything is like touch free, and we just walk away and it flushes by itself. Well, there they have a thing that you turn, and you can turn it on as fast as you want or as slow as you want, and the water comes down and it cleans the urinal. And I said, this is so primitive. It's not even funny.
And the bathroom was clean.
The bathroom was clean.
Not how you
And then you come
would
out.
think.
You come out the bathroom and you have to wash your hands in this basin.
Outside, yep.
Yeah. And
Very
but they
old
have soap.
school.
Yeah. Very old school. So we finally so on the way back, the guy we had to stop because the guy had something wrong with his car that we had to pick up apart. And I mean, he gave so much information, and incredibly nice,
Hospitable.
Yeah.
Like they would do anything. Like when I was asking them to stop or where we wanted to go, like where do you want to eat? Where you want me to stop? What do you want? I'll take you to the best place or whatever. And it was just amazing to me, I think, how hospitable, if that's the right word, they were when they don't really make any money. Because when I was talking to one of the drivers, they told me they only make like $20 a day to drive for 16 to 18 hours. So basically, what the money that they make is on tips, and nobody really tips there. Right. So it was just like, how are they living?
How are they living? So because, like I mentioned earlier, when we did the turtle trip, because when in Rome, I look and see what everybody else is doing. But on this particular trip, it was just her and I. So, I definitely felt compelled to tip and make up for the tip that I didn't give the same guy the night before. And I said, because like I mentioned before, we do tip, we do handle the people that we do take care of the people who give us great service. And so I definitely felt compelled to tip him. He started becoming less like a tour guide and almost more like a friend.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like that instant that, you talk to him and you get to know him, and, you find common ground. And it helps that I understand Spanish, but she's obviously fluent in Spanish. So it helps to have that common ground as well, because I think if it would have been just like English-speaking people, that he probably wouldn't have communicated as effectively,
right?
And we wouldn't have been as chilled out as if we were, because we were pretty chilled out.
And I don't think they would have stopped for people or taken them here or there. He was a nice guy. He said he was married to his wife for 16 years. And he was talking to you, he told me.
Yeah, he was talking to me. And that was the night when we went to the Turtles. He was talking to me.
Okay, and he was like, I was talking to Julian, and he said, you've been together for 30 years, and I'm watching, and
yeah, he
was really nice.
And for the record, I was speaking to him in Spanish. Yes.
And I was just going to say that I guess because they don't really get paid a lot, right? Whoever they're driving for, I guess, for that excursion for the day, they feed them.
Yes.
Just to say, they feed the drivers also. So since it was only me and Julian, but doesn't matter how many people, they feed the driver. I guess that's an incentive, or,
as part of
the
benefits.
Yeah, part of the benefits. They feed them too. And both days, I was going to say, the guys were so proper. Is that what you would say?
Well,
they, before they sat down next to us, asking us, is it okay if we sit with you? Is it okay? Or do you want us to sit at a different table? And it was like, no, you come sit with us. We're talking. I was asking so many questions.
Yeah. And well, when she says the guys, she's also including the next excursion that we're going to talk about. We got back. We got back at
1.
We got back at 1.
Didn't we go to the beach that day?
We went to the beach, broke in the water shoes.
Yep.
Okay, and I think we also chilled out on the
We broke in the water shoes, and the water was a little rough, and it brought me down a few times, and I lost my sunglasses.
Yeah, and I don't know. We're not gonna even talk about that. But
the lifeguard was whistling for me to get off.
Well, everybody was because it was so rough on that side, and so they put up like these flags so you can go in between the flags where they watch the water is not as rough, so they don't have to go out and save you from doing something stupid like hanging out in waves that will snap your neck, right? So, and then we came back. We hung out on the at the pool, and there were these iguanas that came out.
Oh, is that the same day?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we're chilling. These iguanas come out of nowhere, and
Three
these
big
things
iguanas.
were like 6 feet,
Yeah.
including the tail. So they were big, and they came out, and everybody was kind of chilling. But when they wanted to take over somebody's seat, they took over your seat. And no questions asked. Nobody argued with the iguanas, but nobody was like
Nope.
running crazy and acting like scared.
No.
So, hey, Carmel. So, what else?
What else happened that day?
We went to the bar.
We listened to the live band.
We listened to the live band.
That night.
We met some folks from Canada, Toronto.
No, that was on Sunday.
That was on Sunday?
Yeah.
Oh.
Saturday we stayed upstairs for a while listening to the music, and then we went downstairs to see what they had to eat.
Okay.
We had some drinks,
Okay.
and then I think we went back to the room because we knew we had to
get
get up again.
early. Yeah, we had to get
We
up
tried.
early
I
again.
think we tried to go to the. Remember, there was like a club, a disco. They call it. They
disco.
call it disco. That's open from like 9 to 1 or something. So we kind of went over there to see what they had, but no one was dancing or anything. Everyone was just sitting. So
Yeah.
we came back and sat outside for a while.
And then they had like a band shell where they had kids like
Yeah.
entertaining themselves, which was pretty cool for the kids to hang out.
So we sat outside for a little bit. Remember, we were trying to get the internet.
Yeah, we were trying to get the internet. So
And then
the
we went
internet
in.
was even. So we had to pay extra for the internet.
Yeah,
It wasn't
included.
it wasn't included, but it also wasn't the best. And I don't know if where we were, the infrastructure's not set up. I don't know if they were getting like satellite dish internet. But you know, a couple of times we had to get a little bit closer to the main area.
To the lobby.
Yeah, to the lobby area in order to really pick up a signal for the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So that was probably a pain point.
Mm-hmm.
And a pet peeve. And then sometimes, like in the middle of the night, especially when we have kids trying to text us, our family
Yeah.
trying to text us. So in the middle of the night, like a text will come through, and all of a sudden I hear like a buzz on the stand, and I'm like, well, and then I see like the text was like from like 12 hours earlier, and so if somehow I finally snuck through. So all right, so the next day,
So the next day we were going to the volcano,
the
to
volcano.
Arenal, and the hot springs. So we told the guy we would be ready to go by 9, I think
He
it
said
was.
by 9, yeah.
So we had a different driver.
Two drivers.
Yeah, we had a driver and like a tour guide on this trip, I would say. Because the driver was a little bit older, so he didn't really go with us on the little tour that they give. But that was another drive. So while we were driving there, remember, he stopped to get us coffee. We went to what do you call it? A coffee farm, I guess. There was a tour there that we could have taken, but we didn't have time. But he stopped so we can get coffee. We bought, souvenirs. We bought coffee. We saw how they roast the coffee,
Which was cool.
which was neat.
And the guy that roasts the coffee
looks like Juan Valdez,
unbelievably like Juan Valdez. So if you guys
I
see the
didn't see
pictures,
a donkey though.
he didn't have the donkey, but when I looked at, he looked like a short version of Juan Valdez, and I don't know how tall Juan Valdez is, and I'm not trying to sound stereotypical at all, but if you guys see the picture that we took with the guy, I'm sure you agree he looks like Juan Valdez. You get the coffee. He also autographs the
He
coffee
autographed
for
the coffee for us. The coffee was amazing.
you. It's amazing.
And just a little tidbit, you have to get whole bean coffee because if you have ground coffee, the TSA at the airport will confiscate it because they think you're trying to hide drugs.
Yeah.
So that was a little tidbit we got at the coffee place, thank goodness. Because if I would have went to the grocery store to buy it, I would have bought ground. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have bought whole bean.
And we would have been locked up at the airport.
And so we tasted the coffee. We saw them roast the coffee. The guy signed the thing.
And
We tasted.
He took us through the different stages of the coffee.
Yep, he let us smell it. He let us see the coffee, and then the chocolate.
The chocolate.
They make chocolate there too, all
Yes.
different. I don't know.
Levels.
Yeah, he let us taste like 95%.
Well, first he let us taste the cocoa bean,
Yes,
which I never had a cocoa bean by itself.
which didn't taste like
It
anything.
didn't taste like anything, and that's why he was trying to show like when something is pure cocoa, it doesn't taste like anything.
Yeah.
So he let us taste the cocoa bean.
Then he let us taste the
82%
chocolate,
dark chocolate.
which wasn't too bad. I think that's the one that had macadamia nuts in it.
Yeah,
And then he let us taste the milk chocolate,
65%,
65%. And then the milk chocolate.
and that was 30%.
Okay.
So you guys that like chocolate, that are on the diet, hey Denise Wiley is joining us from Texas. So you guys that like chocolate, here's my take on chocolate. If you want to feel absolutely not guilty about eating chocolate, you go for something that's 82% dark chocolate. If you want to feel a balance, then you want to look at 65% chocolate, which is a little bit of sugar, a little bit of milk, and mostly coffee beans. I mean chocolate beans, cocoa beans. If you want to feel guilty, then you do 30% or less, and that's where you have the milk and the sugar coming in. And the 65% to me was like a perfect balance. When I ate that, I was like, there's no way I'm cheating on my diet, no way I'm going to gain weight on this. If I can find 65% in the States, I'm good. Okay, but anything below 65%, 30%, that's definitely...
I think it was okay, but what made it better because it had macadamia nuts in it. But if it was plain, I don't know if I would have. It was okay, but
But taste-wise, you don't feel as guilty.
yeah.
Okay. So we got the coffee, got some souvenirs.
Yeah.
Found out that the guy that works there was from Connecticut. Okay, so this is the strange thing. We're in Baltimore, D.C. We hardly find anybody from Connecticut around here. We go all the way to another country and we find somebody from Bridgeport. We go in, he's asking, do we speak English or Spanish? And then he asks where we're from, and she says we're from Baltimore, but we're really from Connecticut. Come to find out, he is from Bridgeport. And he moved to Costa Rica because his dad wanted him to join the military, and he said that he did not want to join the military. So he moved to Costa Rica because Costa Rica doesn't have a military.
15 years ago.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
So that was his way of, that's the way of him avoiding serving the country, which is, to each his own. But I just thought, it's kind of bizarre to go all the way to another country so far away and see somebody from Connecticut. And we see a lot of people like in the United States that don't acknowledge Connecticut as being part of
his
its own
grandmother's there, or grandfather, one or the other. So he went down there to live with them, but he, now he's on his own. But as I was asking, well, you were only 15, like who lives here? And he did say a grandparent lived there, so he moved in with them. Hi, cousin Lisa. So then what? Then we went to we got back on the road.
Got back on the road. Finally, so again, there's no highway. So going to the volcano was like almost like a 2-hour ordeal because you're doing somewhere between 40 miles an hour or less.
Yeah.
Especially when you're going up the hill of the volcano. We were stuck behind a truck that was carrying us like 4 or 5 bulls, and that thing was going incredibly slow. And I'm like, how do you? And the roads are windy when you're trying to go up around the volcano. And
but before we got there, right, we passed through the little town, and we saw, what did we see? Taco Bell, McDonald's,
so there was a downtown that had McDonald's,
Subway.
Taco
So they
Bell,
have
Subway,
they have those
KFC.
things everywhere. But after that little thing, we got on the highway, and he gave us some information about the highway. Do you remember what he told us about the highway? So he said that highway, right, connects all the way to Nicaragua.
Through Nicaragua to Mexico, right?
Through Nicaragua to Mexico. And what is the highway known as?
The drug highway?
The drug highway.
Oh, so yeah, I guess they run drugs through that highway. So we end up going up the windy roads to the volcano. Eventually, we make it to the volcano, and when he parks the car, he backs in, going like down this steep hill. So, and as he's backing in, you can look on either side of the van, and it's like it can fall off either way. But somehow he managed to back it in perfectly to the station where he needed to park at in order for us to get out and go into the crater of the volcano. So we walked around the crater. The crater was still steaming and boiling.
Yeah, you could see the steam coming up before we got out. So I just wanted to say it was just me and you again on that excursion.
Just the two
so
of
I
us.
felt so special, like for 3 days, because it was just me and Julian.
Yeah, there was no big crowd, so we went at a perfect time.
So we get out, right, and we use the bathroom, and again you have to wash your hands on the outside sink. And it started raining, like pouring. So we had to wait a little bit, and then we finally were able. We posted some pictures. We were able to go like up and around. What would you say?
The crater.
The boiling water.
The boiling water.
Right, and then the crater itself. Yeah. We were able to go around, so you could see like the steam was coming out, and it was hot.
It was
like because it was a little chilly because it had rained, and you could feel it. Like you could feel the steam
and the vapors
coming out of there.
And you know you can smell the vapors and everything, and you know you're sitting on there and you remember it's a volcano. You're like, well, is this thing going to erupt? While we're here, because like you know you see everything still steaming, like it never stops getting hot. And again, this is one of the things that I keep saying about Mother Nature. Mother Nature is something else. I mean, when you can use Mother Nature to your advantage for our survival, and you have people smart enough or with enough knowledge to take the resources and use them to our advantage. To me, it's just amazing. So you can tell them some of the things that they created in the volcano, or that we enjoyed.
Some of the things that they. Oh well, before that, we're going in order, right? Remember, we had to eat first.
No, we didn't eat first.
Yeah, we did.
No, we didn't. We went back to the waterfalls.
No.
We
ate first, and then we went to the horses, and then we came back.
Oh yeah, because we had the ice cream.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
So the guy, so they stopped down the hill first. I don't know. It's just weird how they do stuff. I guess because he had to register us and maybe make sure it was paid or something. So they're so proper there. Like, do you guys want to eat now or do you want to eat later? Like, it was already like 12:30 by the time we got there because it was so far. So we were like, no, we could eat now. And the food was great again. We had chicken. They asked us whether we wanted chicken, pork or fish, chuleta or fish.
Right.
So we ate. Everything was good. We ate everything off of the plate, right? And then the guy bought us ice cream. I'm going to say he bought it or they gave it. I don't know. But it was a different experience.
Yeah. So they put the ice cream in a pouch.
In a plastic pouch.
And you bite off a little piece of the pouch to create like a small hole. And then you kind of squeeze it out and you kind of like just keep it in your mouth. Kind of almost like a small version of a freeze pop. And you kind of just sit there and you just squeeze it and, enjoy it. I mean, it was great.
And then they drove over to the other side somehow to get to the horses.
Yeah. So when we got to the horses, you see 3 horses, one for the tour guide and 2 horses for us. So that made me feel special because I'm just like, oh, it's only 2 horses for us, and they had it all sitting and it's just waiting for you to arrive. I mean, you talk about service. You get there and it's just you look at it and you know that's for you. You know that's for you. And you get out and the guy he says, well, I guess he looked at us according to, I don't know if it's male or female or size, but he's just like, okay, I'm gonna put you on this horse and I'll put you on this horse. And he tells you the name of the horse. And I asked him, I said, well, does this horse go English or Western? And he's like, it doesn't matter. And I'm just like, how can it not matter? And he's just like, it doesn't matter. So I did it English style. I don't know how you did yours.
I didn't really do anything because the horse just follows. They know where they're going. So.
But you have to get them from running into each other, because a couple of times we almost ran into each other.
Oh, well, I let it do its thing. One time I did pull back on it, I think, to stop. But we went up the hill. It was a few little hills there. The poor horse had to go up. And then we got to the waterfalls. So you could get in the waterfall. I don't know if you saw it, but the waterfall was very, like, it looked muddy, like reddish. So I guess that was the iron they were saying that makes it that color. And we could have got into the waterfall, but it was very rough. So we decided and it was cold. So we were like, no, we're not gonna get in the water. But the car, like, leaves you at one point and then picks you back up all the way at the top. So you don't have to, like, I guess if you got wet or something, you could have your towel and all of that stuff. But we ended up getting back into the van at that point, right? The waterfalls were beautiful. I mean, if they want to see the pictures.
And this was my first time on a suspension bridge that they built, which was crazy. And he's running across it like it's no big deal.
He was jumping on it. I'm like...
And the bridge is, like, waving like this, and I'm about to pee in my pants. I think I peed a little bit. But
and I don't know, in the video that you posted, was the dog in the video?
The dog, I don't think so. I don't think
there was a little dog that goes from one side to the other, and he follows the horses up the trail, and he went all through the waterfall with us, all up and down or whatever to get there, and he follows you back, and then he brings the horses down.
Yeah, the dog knows the tour, because actually the dog was ahead of us most of the time, and he knew exactly where to go. So the dog knew the tour. The horses know the tour, and I think they're all one big happy family. And but they said that the dog is somebody else's dog, right?
The dog is the family. So it's a family that owns the springs, I'll call it, or whatever you want, the place there. So they live there, and then they have the dogs there.
Right.
So the dog goes wherever they want. But I was asking the guy, does the dog come here every day? He said, yep, every day. The dog comes, he follows them up, and he follows them down.
Yeah.
So.
And on the way up the volcano, we saw, like, we would see, like, these off-road dirt bikes parked on the side.
Yeah.
And they had, like, these, like, the neon colors, like the vest that the construction people wear. And I guess in order for people to get up there and actually do work on a volcano, they have to take off-road bikes.
Yeah.
Each individual off-road bikes, and then you'll see them, but you won't see the person because they're off in the woods somewhere doing some type of work.
And they had the gas. They had gas or something on, like, a backpack, but they left it there. So when I did ask what they were doing, and they said that they were doing work, I guess what they do is they spray the ground there, and it kills, like, he said the bad grass, but I don't know if he was trying to say the weeds. He says it kills the bad growth and keeps the good growth. That's why the ground looked a little brown there. So, all right, so we take the car, we come back, have to go back around and down that hill again. And so then we were getting ready to get into the springs. Right.
So we came back, stopped raining, and we took one more tour around the crater of the volcano. And this time, they told us there was like an order, because I call it a volcano spot. So there's like an order of doing things. So you go, you
do the sauna
first, then you do the mud, then you do the shower, then you do the jacuzzi.
Yes.
Okay. So we did that, and you guys probably see the pictures where we're in the jacuzzi. So all of that. So the sauna is naturally heated by the volcano, which is amazing. So what they do, somehow they bored a hole into, like, the volcanic rock, and then they kind of chipped out benches inside the hole that they bored, and then they somehow cut a hole in the floor, like a rectangular hole in the floor, and then they put planks over the floor, and underneath the floor runs volcanic vapors and water, and it's hot, and it creates
the steam,
a nice steam sauna. And if you can take it, and that you go in there, it opens up your pores, and then you come out, and then you do the mud bath, and then you rinse off, then you jump into, so they had 3 different levels of heat. for the jacuzzis, and they had the cold one, which is the one you're supposed to do last. They had like the warm one, and then they had the hot one.
Right.
The warm one and the hot one, they're both heated by the water from the volcano.
Right.
So it's always heated all the time, and it's always heated by Mother Nature, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around how they figured this out. That
Yeah, they had like hoses that were pulling the water from the volcano and bringing it into the spring or the sauna, the jacuzzi, what you call you. And then they were also mixing it with a little bit of regular water because
they don't want to burn
it'll be too hot.
Yeah, you can get scolded.
So I stayed in the middle. I couldn't get into the hot one.
And I got into the hot one. And when you get into the hot one, it's hot for like the first half of it, and then when you drop down in the second half, you can feel where they're kind of mixing some of the colder water to keep you from getting scolded.
I couldn't do it.
I mean, obviously they don't want any lawsuits, so they keep you from getting scolded. So you could get in and you'll feel like around your feet area, you can feel where they're trying to like bring the cold water in, which to me was amazing. Then they said, oh, when you're done in the hot one, then you have to go jump into the cold one.
So the lady who runs it was like, oh, after you get out of the hot one, don't forget you have to jump in the cold one. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, because you have to close all your pores up. I was like, oh no. I jumped in and I jumped right out. That water was cold.
And I tried to jump in, but you know, my Weibos didn't like it too much, so I just went like waist high, just enough to kind of get in, but I couldn't go all the way. But that was pretty cool. And
you see, we posted a lot of pictures that we were there. So again, we had the tour guide, Anthony, and he stayed with us the whole time. He was so great. He was like, oh, I'll hold your phone, I'll take your pictures, I'll watch your bag.
Yeah.
And so he was following us around kind of like paparazzi, taking our pictures, whatever we wanted, and he was laughing with us and joking with us. So yeah, that was it. I thought it was great.
I thought it was great
too. I thought it was a unique experience. I mean, I would do it again.
So those were the excursions. We made it back to
it was late.
The resort.
Like 4.
Yeah, and then we chilled out, and then that night we had dinner. Was that the night we had dinner at the restaurant?
No, that was Monday.
Okay.
So Sunday we came back, we took showers, and then we did go to dinner, I think.
We finished dinner, and the raccoon showed up there.
And then we stayed upstairs at the bar for a little bit. That was Sunday, and that's when we met the 2 police officers from Toronto. There.
Yeah.
And then we were talking to them for a long time.
We were talking to them for a long time. And one thing that I had to acknowledge is that we are arrogant Americans. Because they're sitting there saying, oh, did you guys hear about this thing happening in Toronto? I'm just like, no. We don't know anything outside of what our politics and, other than, unless we're dealing with them.
Right.
And it involves us in any way. If it doesn't involve us in any way, we don't know, we don't care. Right. But they know everything that's going on with us, which, is kind of cool, but at the same time, it shows that we're pretty arrogant.
Yeah.
So we talked to them while we were drinking at the bar. The next morning we woke up.
The drinks weren't strong, so.
Well, they were free. So the next morning we woke up.
The next morning we woke up and we said we was gonna go to the beach.
What was at the door?
Oh, the Kawadi. So there was a cat back there. So I don't know if somebody brought their cat or if it was a wild cat, because people next door were feeding the cat. So Julian goes outside to get his what do you call those things? Water shoes. And he comes back in and he's closing the door and he's looking at me all crazy like, Nene, come see this. And I'm like, what's he talking about? It's just a cat that's outside. And when I get there, I see that big thing with the tail.
and the tail kind of just lingers up in the air like it's some type of like.
He's like, get the camera. So I was able to get the camera before it ran away. Yeah. But I think it was coming because it could smell the food that they were feeding the cat. Well, because even the cat got scared and ran away.
Yeah, the cat was trying to come in. The cat was trying to come into our room, and I was just like, I can't save you, bro, because I'm scared myself. I don't know what this thing is. I'm scared myself.
So we took the video of that. We went out. We went to the beach that day.
We went to the beach that day.
And we stayed at the pool for a little bit. We did relax, I guess,
On
one
the
and a
last
half
day.
days.
So while we're relaxing, I'm trying to check in so we can get our boarding positions. Right? So Southwest, we're using the app. So Southwest let her get her boarding position. She had an excellent boarding position as A35, but they didn't let me get my boarding position. And I called them up and I said, hey guys, I'm trying to use the app to get my boarding position. Can you help out? So they said, oh, we can't do anything. This is mandated by TSA. So I said, okay, well, what do I need to do? It's like, well, you have to go to the kiosk or you have to go to the desk and you have to get your boarding pass that way.
Right.
So I said, okay, no problem.
He did say it was flagged for security.
By
But
TSA.
I was kind of like, oh, flagged for security. So that means, to me, I kind of knew. I was like, oh, that means they're going to, do an extra check or something. But anyways, we went up, right? We got our boarding passes. Went on business as usual. It was pretty quiet at that airport. I guess that's the smaller airport there. We went through security. And what was the first thing that the guy said when the bags went through the x-ray?
He says, oh, you guys have coffee? So they can see those coffee beans.
So I don't know
right
if I
on
was
the
supposed
X-ray.
to tell them I had coffee, but he was like, oh, you have coffee? And I was like, oh, yeah.
So,
I said, we have whole bean coffee. Do I have to take it out the bag? And he was like, no.
and just so you guys know, they have an X-ray machine, but they just have a metal detector.
Right.
Kind
Not
of
like,
old school.
Not like that contraption in the U.S.
That you go in and so you're able to go through. You take your belt off, you go through, and you're kind of good to go. So when they told us we were boarding in gate 5, we go and we sit in gate 5, and then after they're getting ready for us to board, I hear my name called over the.
Well, we lined up, right? I went first.
I hear my name called over the PA first. They called it a few times.
But I didn't hear it. I was in
heard
line,
it.
right?
No, you wasn't in
I
line.
went through already.
We were sitting.
Oh, okay.
The first time, so they called my name like 3 times.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
So the first time they called my name, it's like Julian Allen, boarding position A59. You need to report to gate 5. And the reason why you probably didn't notice, because I didn't move, because I'm looking at the sign, I'm like, I'm at gate 5. Thank you, I'm here already. So I didn't do anything. Then it's time to board. We
got in line to board.
She got in line to board. Again, there's only 60 people on this flight on the way back, so it's another quiet flight. And she got in line and got on the plane, and then I got in line for my boarding position, and then they call my name again. And I'm like, well, why do they keep calling my name? So I go to the desk, and I he's like, are you Julian Allen? I raise my hand like, yeah, I'm Julian Allen. He goes, do you have your boarding pass and your passport? I said, yes. And so I show it to him. He says, you see right here? He says, it has these 4 S's right here. I says, yeah. He says, you're flagged for security. You have to go down here and go down this hallway. He's like, follow this gentleman right here. We need to check your bags.
And I didn't know anything. So I'm on the airplane counting the people. Like, okay, he was about 12 behind me. And I'm just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. And he never comes. And the stewardess, is that the right name for the mail?
Flight attendant.
The flight attendant starts closing all of the overhead bins. And I'm like, where's the rest of the people that were boarding? And he's like, what do you mean? This is everybody. I said, no, my husband didn't get on the plane yet. And he was like, oh. He was like, well, are you sure he was in line? Do you know? They're asking me all these questions. Like, did he sit up front without you? I'm like, no. I would have saw him come on. He's like, well, are you sure he didn't get out of line to get food? I'm like, no. So he's like, all right, I'm going to go check on him. So in the meantime, while I'm asking all these questions, you were in the room. Tell them what happened.
So when you go out and they flag you for security, you go out one way to get on the plane, you take a right. And then you go down the hall so they can check your bags. And it's supposed to be like a private area, but it's not really private because everything is glass. It's just away from the people going on the flight with you. And I go down there, and there's like another couple, American couple down there. They're older, and apparently they got flagged the same. And the lady, the guy's wife, is sitting there. She's clearly pissed off about everything. And the guy turns to me and he goes, "Do you know what's going on here?" He's like, and I said, "Well, I tried to log in and get my boarding pass. It wouldn't let me." He's like, "Oh, the same thing happened to us." I said, "I called Southwest. Southwest said that it's for the TSA, it's for security for the TSA." And so his wife is sitting there going off, and he's trying to calm his wife down. He's like, "Dear, I'm talking to this guy, and he says that this is something that the TSA ordered." So, but she's thinking that it's just a way for the Costa Ricans to inconvenience her. So she's sitting there going off, and she spoke Spanish, but she spoke Spanish the American way without rolling her R's. So she's sitting there going off on her, and they're restraining themselves from responding to what she's saying. And she's saying basically in Spanish that you guys should have did this before, not after. And I'm just like, well, we're in their country, okay? And I want to make it home. So she needs to tone it down a little bit because, I'm not sure how my card plays over here or how their card plays over here, but I just know I don't want to have the president trying to negotiate my freedom, from me coming from Costa Rica. And I don't know how their jail system is over there. I'm assuming that they're not going to put me on the beach. So I said, look, this is what needs to happen. This is what needs to happen. So the girl takes my luggage. I put it on the table. She's going through all my dirty drawers. So this is the thing. Like I told my kids, when you travel, wear your dirty drawers. Keep your clean drawers. And when you travel international, wear your dirty drawers, keep your clean drawers and your luggage for occasions like this, okay? So in that way, because, your parents always say, well, you need to have clean drawers on just in case you get into an accident. No, not in Costa Rica. You need to have clean drawers in your luggage just in case they check your luggage. And she's sitting there trying to fold my stuff up nice and neat. I see her, I'm looking like, you have my drawers in your hand. And I'm like, just dump it all in, So I started just, dumping it in when they said I was good to go. After they sat me down, they rubbed me down, they took my sneakers off, they rubbed my feet, they banged my sneakers on the ground, and they said I'm good to go. And I look over and she's sitting there trying to fold my drawers and stuff and put them back in. I said, just give me everything. And I just started dumping everything back into my duffel bag, zipped it up. I'm coming down the jetway, and the lady had the clipboard in her hand, and she looks at her clipboard. She goes, "Are you Julian?" And I said, "Yes." And I'm the very last one to get on. They open up the plane door. I get on, and it's just like, basically, we good to go. So, and that's when I come and I see her all frantic.
I wasn't frantic. Well, in the meantime, before he came back, the flight attendant went to ask, so he knew. But he came back, and he was trying to tell me, we don't find your husband, he's not out there or whatever. And I was like, well, what you mean if you don't find him? Because if he's staying here, then I'm staying here. And he kind of could see my face, was kind of like, what? And he was like, no, I'm just kidding. He's like, he's coming. So then he runs up on the plane.
Yeah, they let me on the plane, and I'm coming, and they opened up a couple of the overhead bins so I can put my stuff in overhead. And he's just like, well, your wife was worried about you, and she saved you a seat. And I said, I'm not sitting with her. And he said, what do you mean? I said, I'm sitting behind her. And I said, I don't like her that much.
And what did he tell you?
What did he tell me?
What did he tell you?
What did he tell me?
He tried to tell you. Your wife said, how did he tell you? Your wife said if you wasn't getting on the plane, she wasn't either. Yeah. You wasn't staying in Costa Rica by yourself.
Yeah. So, and that flight attendant, oh my goodness, he was the perfect ending to a great vacation.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, he was Southwest. I
think all of them on that flight. Not to cut you off, because sometimes when when you're on the airplane, it's like they be hogging the snacks. And you're like, come on. Yeah. So maybe because it was only 59 people, but the way down they were kind of hogging the snacks. They only wanted to give you one thing, and I'm like, no, I want two. So this guy, when they were passing it out, all of them, it was 2 guys and a woman, I believe. They were giving everybody 3. Everything that was on the thing, they were just giving it to everybody. And then they came back around and said, whatever you want, just let us know. You can have whatever you want.
And I was like, can I get 2 more bags of Fritos and some Lorna Doones? And I think that's when I got my margarita. But I mean, the guy, his name was Robert. I normally don't do feedback for, because usually the service, like I mentioned earlier, the service on Southwest sometimes can be mediocre. I usually don't do what they call
the
surveys or give feedback. But for this guy, I had to do it. I mean, there was just no way. He went above and beyond. He addressed us by our names, which was different, because it was just like, you don't get flight attendants that take the time on a flight that has such a small amount of people that he took the time to, address her as Mrs. Allen, address me as Julian every time he came through.
Yeah.
And then, he's like, whatever you guys want, just ask me. He's like, it's a 4.5-hour flight. There's going to be plenty of time that I can get you
the drinks and all that.
Like,
and they did drinks like 3 times.
Yeah. He's just like, and if that's not enough, just stop us.
Right.
Or just come and see us. He's like, just get whatever you want. Just come. We'll take care of it. So I definitely had to go on Southwest.com and send Southwest kudos.
Thank you.
Big time compliment for him. So anything else?
No, now we're back in the cold.
So now we are back in the cold. All right. So this was our second annual baecation.
Yes.
So some people, we call it a baecation because it's only her and I. And then of course we do our annual family vacation, which is going to be coming up soon, and we'll do a live on that. We might even go live from the place of where we are. We can't tell you, Patricia. Sorry. You know what? I'm going to post it. We're going to be going December 21st. I'll post it on December 21st, and you'll know. But I'm going to tell you, it should be somewhere decent. It's not going to be Connecticut or New York, And I tried to get her to spend the vacation in Connecticut.
No.
So I did propose that I said, well, she goes, well, you're going to take me on vacation. She says, where? And I said, well, how about if we go to Connecticut for a week? And she was just like, no. And I'm just like, well, the family is there. I'm pretty sure the family would like to see us for a week. And she was just like, no. So that didn't work. So so her response to me was like, you're taking me somewhere. And I was like, well, where do you want to go? She's like, I don't know, but you're taking me somewhere. So at some point, I looked on the map and I said, let me just out of fun, let me just see where Southwest flies to. And I ended up seeing Costa Rica because Costa Rica was the closest to the equator that we've ever been.
Well, we were thinking about Mexico.
We were thinking about Mexico, but
we didn't do that one this time.
Okay, and just for the record, I have a stigma against Mexico because when I was in 9th grade, they took, and this is going to stick with me, but they took all these kids to Mexico for a Spanish trip for our Spanish class.
They didn't take them. The parents had to pay.
They still took them.
But the Spanish teacher
took them. They sponsored the trip.
Okay, but she didn't pay for them to go.
But we couldn't. It doesn't matter. We couldn't afford it. And me going there saying, like, even if I could afford it now, I don't want to sit there and feel like almost like second class to the 9th grade kids that went that year, because I'm living in their shadows now, and I'm not feeling that trip right now.
Okay.
So
well,
I have to let it go and release it eventually, but right now
I just wanted to say, if you're thinking about going, right, this is the better time to go. The drivers were telling us, because this is kind of their quiet season. Come March, April, May, it's more expensive. So, give it a whirl. Look at the Southwest vacations. I thought it was a pretty good deal that we got to go. It wasn't like super expensive. With everything that you got. I mean, you got all your meals there, and it was like an all-you-could-eat place,
right.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All the drinks were free, which was like their bottom shelf drinks. But, you could get a top shelf drink. It was $5, so it wasn't like $12 that you would pay here. So, I thought for the price that we paid, I thought we got a good deal.
Right. Well, again, happy wife, happy life, right? So if I thought it was a good deal or not, I don't think it matters. As long as she's happy.
Well, you
right?
got to experience the all-inclusive.
We did experience the all-inclusive. Me,
So you might not want to go back to the all-inclusive, but like
Well-
if I was to take Q and Island, I think that would be like a great place because it was safe. The beach was there, the pool was there. They could eat whatever they want.
right? But the way Costa Rica is set up, I don't regret doing all-inclusive because they pick you up from the airport. It's not like when you're used to like navigating through like
Right.
America. You don't have street signs
Right.
to kind of help.
Right.
And actually, that's when we went to Cayman Islands. I had kind of
Yeah.
struggled driving on
It's
the
true.
left-hand side of the road and really trying to figure out how to
get there.
get to where we needed to go. So, all-inclusive, I think was a decent way to go. Guys, if you're watching this, take your wife to Costa Rica and chill out in Costa Rica. There are some American parts. There are some Italian parts. So there's a little Italy that we saw there. You'll see a bunch of American-owned businesses. So America is kind of heavy in Costa Rica. And I think we mentioned, there was a guy from Connecticut. There was a family from Texas and Philadelphia.
Yeah.
They really enjoy it in Costa Rica. And they said that they wouldn't come back to the United States because everything is just so chilled out. There's not the hustle and bustle
Right.
that we have to go through here.
No rushing.
I mean, and then houses down there cost like $12,000 for like a 2-bedroom, right? So if you could spend $12,000 and owe nobody, what better deal is that?
The 12,000 was from the land, certain places, but the guy was telling me 20,000.
I thought that's for a 4-bedroom.
No, 20. Well, to build it roughly, but then you
four-bedroom.
also have to pay for the land.
And I thought that was all included. The
But
second guy said it was all included.
The second guy said about 20,000, the house and the land.
For a 4-bedroom. The people
Yeah,
that he helped out.
roughly,
Right,
yeah.
and for the 2-bedroom, I thought it was like 12,000.
Okay.
Unless you translated it incorrectly.
The first excursion we went on, he told me the land was about 12,000 where the volcano is.
Right,
The second guy said the house and the land was 20,000.
right. So, and some people don't even buy houses. They told the story about the
Yeah,
guy
they just
that lived in the cardboard box. So, you want to tell the story about the guy in the cardboard box?
Well,
That
he
died.
owned the land, right? And he sold livestock, I believe it was. And he didn't want to owe the bank any money. So he basically slept in a cardboard box, ate rice and eggs every day, and only drank water. And when he passed away, they said that he had $3 million in the bank
Cash money.
that the government kept because he had no family.
Because he had no family. So, that's just food for thought. One, make sure you have a will. And two, every homeless person that you probably see is probably not as broke as we think they are. Probably shame on me for saying that. But, I mean, if the story is true about this guy sleeping in a cardboard box, there are some people who are super frugal that see money as not how other people see money. So they look at it as, they just do what they love, buying and selling livestock, and, you get your check for it. But in the meantime, I'm going to kind of chill out in the cardboard box. The weather's good enough for me
Right.
to live this way. And as long as nobody bothers me, I'm good. And this
Right.
is what I like to eat. And, just sock his money away. But unfortunately, he didn't have any family to leave that money to. So.
Yep.
All right. So we appreciate you guys taking the time to tune in. We were trying to get some other people to come on and interview some people. We're still working on some of these other people. So hang in there, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully you guys had a great day and have a greater night.
Just want to say, I hope everybody's safe. I know Connecticut got snow, right? And I think New York, our family in New York,
Yep, New York.
may have gotten some. I'm not sure about anywhere else, but
So
I hope
Patricia,
everybody's safe.
so cousin Patricia, you guys get snow in the summertime, right, in Rochester? I mean, every time I turn around, I see you guys. It seems like it's snowing up there, and I'm like, well, it's only October, right? And so you guys get snow a little bit early. So yeah, same, same sentiments as what Nini says. Is we hope everybody is safe up there. Stay warm. and just let's get ready for the to finish out the holiday season. Hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know we did.
We
Yeah,
always get some.
that's what I thought. That's what I thought, Cousin Patricia. So we appreciate you guys taking the time. Have a wonderful night, and we will talk to you again soon.
Okay.
You guys are going to Caribbean April 2020? Is there any specific island that you guys going to, or the cruise, Cousin Patricia? I see your comment. I'll wait for your response. Cruise?
Which islands are you gonna visit?
Awesome. So there's going to be a cruise.
I'm gonna work on that next. Julian doesn't really want to do a cruise, but
Not yet. Not yet.
Nassau.
Okay, the Bahamas. Awesome.
Okay.
So is Cousin James going to join you guys, or are you going to make it like a girls' trip?
She might have to send it to us. Her daughter and her.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess if he's busy. What's wrong? All right, Cousin Patricia. So I'm going to be looking forward to that. I hope you guys have a great time for April 2020. And I'm pretty sure, like up in Rochester, it's still going to be snowing in April. So
Yeah.
you guys are definitely going to appreciate that cruise.
The warm weather.
Yeah, the warm weather. So, all right. So, guys, have a great night, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.